Michael Reese Bishop's death, testified Wednesday against James Earl Wells Jr. during his murder trial. Malone admitted to taking part in the robbery and said that Wells shot Bishop during the break-in. Despite a lengthy criminal record, Malone received a plea deal in exchange for his testimony. Wells' defense offered an alibi with his wife stating he was home. Closing arguments and jury deliberations are underway today. In sports, the Lady Pioneer flag football team earned a 25-0 shutout over Smith County, their 7th win and 2nd straight shutout in the season. The Lady Pioneers face White County next in a key doubleheader tonight at 6 at D. Harris Field in Sparta. For more on these stories, subscribe to www.mainstreetjournal.llc. With the news, I'm Justin Reed.
Come on in and see how good it feels.
You'll always be treated right when you arrive at Ed Rogers Chevrolet with the new Chevrolet Am vehicles, plus a great selection of quality used vehicles. At Ed Rogers Chevrolet, there's also an outstanding service department, proud to be family-owned for over 50 years.
So come on in and see how good it feels.
Get that great feeling of saving money today at Ed Rogers Chevrolet in Sparta and edrogerschevy.net.
Today is going to be mostly sunny skies with a high near 73. Calm wind becoming south around 5 miles per hour this afternoon. Tonight, mostly clear skies with a low around 56. South-southeast wind around 5 miles per hour. Fun fact, in Antarctica, there are places called dry valleys that haven't seen the rain in nearly 2 million years. They're so dry and cold, scientists say it's the closest place on Earth to Mars. No snow, no ice, just wind and dust. Until next time, keep shining. This is Tisha with your weather.
It's time for Simmons Says, the show that brings Warren County the latest news and stories from around the community. Hosted by Jeff Simmons, this program dives into everything from local events to major headlines. Stay tuned and stay informed.
Hello, welcome to the Simmons Says Show. I am Jeff Simmons, your host, and we are on WBMC 97.7 FM. Hope everybody's joining us out there. You can also get us on the WBMC app, or you can join us on Facebook Live, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to do because I just watched Town Talk with Raven Young and Justin Reed and special guest Carl D. Bolden, and there's a lot of people on there. And I'm assuming that with our guest here, we have District 5 Commissioner Brad Hills, and we have District 8 Commissioner Scott Rubley. Though we're going to have a lot of people join us today, guys. Thank y'all so much for coming because I don't know, is there anything going on right now that has y'all wanting to come and talk a little bit?
I was really surprised you called. I don't know of anything going on right now.
You want to bring that mic to you?
we're trying to stir up trouble since it's so quiet.
I appreciate that. Our ratings might have been tanking a little bit. We needed somebody to talk to us a little bit. No, guys, we're going to talk about the thing that everybody seems to want to talk about in Warren County. That is the County Powers Act vote, which will be happening on April the 21st, Monday. And what time will that be starting up?
6:30.
Michael Bell already in the comment section says that the future president and VP are on the show today. I don't know who's the VP and I don't know who the president is on this. So you said 6:30 on Monday. Let's just start here. When did you first get word of a County Powers Act? I mean, Mr. Rubley, you've been in. This is your third term, I believe.
It is.
So you've you've been in the county commission pretty much since they probably put in the ability to have a County Powers Act. When did you first hear about it?
It's probably been 5-6 years ago that it was brought up with some other situations. I don't even recall what it was, but we at the onset when we heard about it, people were saying, "Well, sounds like government overreach to me. Let's just let this thing go." And it pretty much died from there. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the biggest concerns is that we've heard over and over we're being proactive here. We need to be proactive. We need to get this implemented, but we are 100% being reactive to a situation in Dibble right now. So This is not a proactive stance. This is something that we've kind of kept in the desk drawer until we needed it, and now let's dig it up and let's make this thing go.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of same question, Mr. Hillis. How long have you been on the county commission?
5 years.
5 years. And when did you kind of first start hearing about this County Powers Act? Because it's really launched in the last 2 weeks. It's probably about the one of the only things you've been hearing about. But when did you first hear about the County Powers Act?
Probably about 18 months ago. Mm-hmm. I discussed it with another friend of mine from another county.
Yes.
And he and I discussed it, and then that's when I started reading more about it and what it consisted of.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me right into what I was going to ask. In this process of researching and figuring out the County Powers Act, how have you went about that process, and when have you seen it deployed in other counties?
Well, as we know, Grundy and DeKalb passed it.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue I have with the Powers Act, for me personally, it puts too much power in too few hands. It takes 16 on our commission to pass it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you're putting that power in 16 hands.
Yep. And Mr. Rubley, kind of the same thing. You've been in this. You've been in a lot of different situations over your 3 terms. I would assume there's been times where people would have said, why didn't we institute the County Powers Act for this or that or now? Again, like you kind of went back to, you said we could be proactive right now, but every time that it seems like this is brought up, it's about a reactionary situation.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying here?
Well, and if you ask me, it's a slippery slope.
Yes, sir.
When we were having the meeting Thursday night, mm-hmm. I turned around and looked at 2 fellow commissioners, and I said, we are about to open Pandora's box.
Yes, sir.
And I understand the guys in that district, I sympathize with them completely, and those people who live in those residences, but I think we've let hyperbole and exaggeration kind of dictate people's position on this thing because we don't even know exactly what it is we're getting. But if we pass this to prevent a potential rock quarry from going in the Dibble community or the Centertown community or wherever they might be, which quarry is a relative word now.
Mining's relative right now.
It is.
Yes, sir.
It is. But so the next person that comes along in 3-4 years and says, hey, they're trying to put a dog kennel beside my house. This is a residential area. I don't want a dog kennel here. You guys have got to do something. Well, that's not our business. Well, now, wait a minute. Now, there was a property acquisition that was in the works in Dibble, and you guys passed an act to stop it. So I know you've got the authority to do it. So why did you do it for them if you won't do it for me? So that's the reference to Pandora's box. When does it end? And I was telling Chad earlier, I'm a Liberty guy, and I've studied it. I've looked at the way our founding fathers have done things. And I know everybody's heard of the Federalist Papers, but James Madison wrote prior to the passing of our Constitution that we're sworn to uphold,
yes, sir.
to uphold, that we are to protect property rights. That's one of our basic freedoms. And then even after the Constitution was passed, he had several writings, and he had one that was just entitled Property, and it was page after page of why the government needs to protect the private citizen's property rights, or you really don't have any rights at all. Yeah. So that's where I'm coming from, is from a liberty standpoint. And would I want it next to my house? No. But would I be willing to actually pass we're saying resolution, but in essence a law preventing my neighbor from doing what he wants to with his property that he's paid us, the taxpayer, the tax regulators,
yes, sir,
taxes on for years. We've collected his taxes. We've decided how we're going to spend his taxes, and then we're going to tell him that you can't sell that to this person, or we're not telling them they can't sell it. We're just telling them that the person that's buying it can't do what he wants to do with it, and that's a bridge too far for me.
Yeah. I think the word that I used yesterday a lot when we were talking about this was precedent. And I think that's kind of what you are talking about with right now, is if you enact it now for this, you've almost set a precedent, as you said, that it kind of gets a little bit of reactionary. Now, as we all understand this, because I think there's been a lot of bantering about if this is this or this is going to be this. The County Powers Act in any situation would have to be voted back in 16 out of 24. Right. on any situation that it's applied on.
Exactly.
So it's not. So go ahead, Mr. Hillis. Yeah.
Well, one thing is, too, when Scott mentioned the Thursday night meeting we had with the Dibble residents, and I'm like, Scott, I went to school at Dibble Elementary. I have a lot of connection there, and I sympathize with that, with their issue. But one of the commissioners from DeKalb that they brought to us
Yes, sir.
looked at us, and he said, my recommendation is you pass it and don't do anything with it until you see how our lawsuits start out. So I don't see the benefit of putting that on the taxpayers of Warren County, passing something that you're afraid to use.
Yeah. We to clarify, if you haven't been following along, everybody kind of seems like they know a little bit about this, but I don't think anybody knows everything about this. But but Mr. Hillis is referencing is DeKalb County put it in the County Powers Act, and they have 3 businesses that I think the community of DeKalb County would like for that to apply to. And as of yet, I do not think that they've stopped either one of those. In fact, WJLE, Dwayne Page reporting in 2 weeks ago said that the county attorney actually had told DeKalb County, you might need to go see some people in Nashville that specialize in this, because this could be 3 lawsuits that you have to fight if you enact that. And over in Grundy County, they are going to be in the state Supreme Court with Tinsley Properties.
And we already know that Grundy County has already spent over $100,000 in litigation. We're waiting on a precedent from the state Supreme Court right now with this suit with Grundy County. And I know that this is a timing issue for the residents of Dibble, but can we really justify passing something when we know we're opening ourselves up to suits immediately? And I'm looking at this now from a budgetary standpoint. I think Commissioner Ross made reference to that yesterday. Yes. So why don't we wait and see what the state Supreme Court says about this one? If they say, hey, it's unconstitutional, you guys can't do that, then we've wasted a bunch of your time and the taxpayers' time making these decisions that we can't even make it stick.
Yep.
So
we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to get into more of the County Powers Act and the thoughts from Mr. Rubley and Mr. Hillis on the Simmons Says show here on WBMC 97.7 FM. Stick with us. And
all right.
Years. Just how long is that? Well, 30 years ago, the World Wide Web didn't exist. No iPhones, no flat-screen televisions, and no Netflix. You might have installed AOL using a floppy disk. Yep, 30 years is a long time. And to stay in business for 30 plus years, well, you have to do things the right way, especially in the last 30 years, when things have changed so much. The Rogers family has done it the right way, building a car dealership with a focus on integrity, treating people the right way, making fair deals. No tired car dealership cliches. The Rogers really forged a different way to buy a car. It's a hometown-friendly feel. Ed Rogers Valley Ford. 30 years of doing business the right way. 111 Auto Lane, Sparta. And online, edrogersvalleyford.com. Ed Rogers Valley Ford. Same ownership, same customer service for 30 years with that friendly hometown feel.
At Pioneer Building Supply, we're your one-stop shop for lumber, tools, and building supplies. Whether you're tackling a major renovation or just need a few materials for a small project, we've got you covered. From framing to finishing touches, we have the products and expertise to help you get the job done right. Stop by and see us today at 231 Northgate Drive, Suite 250, McMinnville, or give us a call at 931-473-7777. Our friendly, knowledgeable team is always ready to help you with whatever you need for your next project. For 50 years, Pioneer Building Supply has been the trusted name in construction materials. We've built our reputation on quality, service, and the commitment to your success. Pioneer Building Supply, building your dreams since 1975.
Pioneer Building Supply.
Pioneer Building Supply, where good business makes good friends.
Pioneer Building Supply.
Get ready for the ultimate Cinco de Mayo celebration at Los Trojas Cantina, the home of the legendary Margarona. All-day drink and food specials, free T-shirts, and here's the twist. You could be our 300th or 500th guest and win a surprise giveaway. Gather your crew and head to Sparta Street for non-stop fiesta vibes. Cinco de Mayo at Los Trojas Cantina, May 5th. Don't miss it.
Douglas and Lanier, that's where I choose to be. Douglas and Lanier, that's the agency for me.
For rock-solid insurance coverage or sound financial planning for my family's future, Douglas and Lanier is where I choose to call home.
Call Douglas and Lanier, your local Erie agents, at 811 Faulkner Springs Road, McMinnville, at 931-474-0044.
Okay, folks, we are back here on the Simmons Says program. Before we get back to our conversation with Commissioners Hillis and Commissioners Rubley, we want to make sure we thank Douglas and Lanier. Brought to you, they are the sponsor, one of the sponsors for the Simmons Says show, and they're your hometown insurance experts. It's specializing in commercial coverage and agriculture contractors and workers' comp. They protect businesses big and small. Trust a team that knows hard work, smart coverage, straight talk. That's Douglas and Lanier, 811 Faulkner Springs Road, 474-0044. All right, back to business. That was a little bit of business. I like Douglas and Lanier. I drive by it every single day. I live on Faulkner Springs Road. So, all right. We got to separate fact and fiction right now. Because right now, we were talking about it in the break. The ability to get factual, concrete information out right now is really tough. Because we had the things that I listened to Carl Bolden on the show. We're going to have Terry Bell in here at 10 o'clock. I've heard some of the things that he said this week. We keep focusing. The County Powers Act is, as Mr. Rubley said in the first part, is kind of a reaction to a proposed quarry on Roy Foster Road. Can anybody confirm that there is a quarry coming to Roy Foster Road?
No. No permits, no hearings, nothing that we know of. We've heard rumors of earnest money being applied to the property purchase, but that doesn't mean, they could be building a skyscraper or an airport as far as we know, but no concrete evidence.
Now, and again, everybody wants to lend credence to this, the quarry. There's quarry. I've heard this multiple times. Even Mr. Bolden on Raven Town Talk said, if we don't pass this, there could be 3 to 6 quarries in Warren County in the next year.
Okay.
Can we define? Where are we at? The 3 to 6 quarries in a year pop up because we don't do this. Is that factual?
Let's look at it from a geographical standpoint. Where is Stoneman? It's on the side of a mountain.
Yes, sir.
Where's the Doyle Quarry? It's on the side of a mountain.
Yep.
Where's the Grundy County Quarry? It's at the foot of the mountain, in the side of a mountain. If you go to the middle of a property, I know there's a little elevation out there on this piece of property, but if you go out there and start quarrying straight down, you know what you've got? Lake Dibble. It's just not economically feasible to go out on a flat piece of property and start quarrying rock, what we call rock. And as I understand, like I say, I know there's a lot of speculation. We don't know for sure, but what we think we know is that we've got a potential, which Chris made reference to it yesterday. We've got an operator who is doing this quote unquote quarrying, mining, whatever you want to call it, on Shelbyville Road right now. And does it beautify the property? No. But does it really impact the citizens around there? I've heard one complaint. I'd say multiple people had a complaint, but when it's muddy and wet, they track some dirt out in the road. Well, guess what? I'm a nurseryman. And,
oh, no.
And I hate to say, but sometimes when it's really nasty and wet, we get some mud in the road. But to say that we're going out here on this place and and what I've heard, I've actually talked to the same property owner that Chris made reference to.
Yes, sir.
And he said if they were putting a quarry on this farm, I would not allow it in my community. He said we're entertaining the idea. They're doing some testing and some research, but what we understand is they're going to be removing dirt, small gravel, small stone of some sort. My understanding, I think Brad said it's kind of shell based. It's kind of in layers, similar to coal.
Yes, sir.
But equipment would excavate it. No blasting necessary. Just excavate it, load it up. So
can you expand on that, Mr. Hills? Because I mean, we keep using the word rock quarry.
That's another term. I don't think we can rightfully call it a quarry.
Yes, sir.
Because they're not. It's just like when I made some calls and talked to some people that are in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
All of them told me they can't they won't run the risk of blasting on those creek banks, because if they sink that creek, the federal government would sink them. They won't run that risk.
Yes, sir.
And they maintain a 60 to 80 foot buffer off the creek. So I think that's a lot of fear mongering when you call it a quarry. People naturally think of the stone man up here, and they're blasting rock out of the side of the mountain, and that's not the case here.
Yeah. And in fact, we had some boots on the ground this week. Caden Hurley went out to the rock quarry on Stone Man Road and asked some residents about their experience living next to that rock quarry. And he got, as you would expect, a wide range of views on that, because this has been, for the most part, a 50-50 type deal. We put a poll out on the Main Street Journal about the County Powers Act and asked, would you support it, would you not, or would you maybe support it if you had more information? 49% of the respondents on that said no, they would not support the County Powers Act. 40% said yes, 10% said maybe. It's been a long time since I've been in math class, Mr. Rubley, but I don't think you get to 2/3 out of 49%.
Oh, no,
when
never.
45% say no, and when 40% are saying yes, and you need 2/3 to get there, I don't think 2/5 adds up to 2/3 anytime soon. But I want to go, and I have a little bit of an inside on what Caden got to do, and he went out there and talked to some people. Not only did he talk to the neighbors, he in fact reached out to a seismography, a seismology company that does seismographs around the area, because they were saying that the Rogers Group, rock quarry out there, they have to stay inside anytime they're doing a blast. If I recall this correctly, that the fire marshal or the fire department has to be on scene. They have to take every precaution necessary for blasting, and they have to stay under a certain a rating to do the blasting. Said that the company said that they've been doing it the whole time. It's never exceeded the set rate for the state. So again, we start talking about, everybody says these issues are going on. And now there was somebody in there that said that there was one person said, I have lived here all my life. I haven't really had any problems with the rock quarry. I got used to the noise and it doesn't bother me. Another person said they're against the County Powers Resolution. I feel that if you own the land and pay taxes on that land, you should be able to do whatever you want with the land. There are also people out there that said that that they didn't like the rock quarry, that they would support the County Powers Act. Again, we're around that 50-50 mark. But this is comments from people that live next to a actual rock quarry in town. We're talking about, in some aspects today, we want to separate fact and fiction. You've talked about the property on Old Shelbyville Road. I mean, does that fit the definition of a rock quarry?
Not my definition,
Not yours.
but from a legal standpoint,
Could it?
They've got lawyers that are in a lot higher pay grade than I am, and much more educated on law. And possibly. And we talked about this. It was in jest, but is the nursery industry mining? How big a root ball do we have to dig and put on a truck before they consider it mining? And so, and I know that's tongue in cheek, but going back to the numbers that we're talking about, I listened to the interviews from some of the other commissioners yesterday, and I commend you guys for getting the information out there.
Yes,
but
sir.
we had one commissioner yesterday who said, I really feel like that it needs to go to a referendum. This is something the people of Warren County need to decide.
Yes.
I heard another commissioner say that he knew that if it went to a referendum that it would fail. And the light bulb went off above my head, and I'm thinking, who are we representing here? And I know that affects his district directly.
Yes.
But who are we representing when we go in that courtroom and cast a vote? Are we representing the 50 people around our house, or are we trying to do what's best for the county as a whole? Because when we go in there and make budgetary decisions, it doesn't affect District 8. It affects 12 districts, and that's what we've got to keep in mind when we're making decisions is the county as a whole. I know these guys are in a tight spot, and I've said I'm not holding any grudges, no hard feelings. If people vote their conscience, then they've done the right thing. But don't tell me that if it goes to referendum that you know it will fail, so you're against it, but you're in favor of 24 commissioners deciding what 40,000 people are going to get. That's not representation.
Yeah, Mr. Hillis, we've heard a lot about referendum vote on this. Is this something that even could be that might be able to push into Monday, or is this thing going to happen on Monday no matter what, or could it even be tabled and say, hey, we might need to look for a referendum vote instead of us doing this?
That is possible.
That is possible, and I saw that. I was on. It was I talked to one of the districts, and again, we're going to have Terry Bell on here from 10 to 11. We had Steve Glenn and we had Christy Ross calling to the show tomorrow. I think Kenny Moffitt and Michael Bell are going to be here from 2 to 4 at some point. 2 to 4. We have 2 commissioners here. We just had Carl Bolden. We've had a wide range of people on here. I think referendum vote for the county seems to again be something that is hitting a lot more. And as a person that lives in the county, I kind of like the idea that my vote would count as much as maybe y'all's vote at the start of it. Now, I need to make sure that, of course, my representatives are Terry Hines and Blaine Wiltshire, and I think even Blaine's messaged me about potentially talking about that here with him. I want to talk to them. But if I have a referendum vote, I get a chance at this. Otherwise, I got to hope that one of y'all or Terry or Blaine represents me really well on it. And I don't know if they will or not. I have no clue.
The thing I said from the start, the public should have the opportunity to vote on this.
Yes.
But another advantage other than what you just spoke of is when that taxpayer goes into that polling machine and votes, it's private.
Yep.
You're not pitting neighbor against neighbor.
Yes, sir.
I mean, they don't have to have fear on how they stand.
Yeah, because I think right now we have this Warren County, and I've seen it in the 2 months that I've been in here. We have a. Am I reading this wrong? That we're getting a little bit of a pitchfork mentality on anything we don't like right now, and and we go and I don't know. I hadn't sharpened my pitchfork yet. I don't know. I don't know if I found. I guess I'm going to have to wait for the cause that I want to go grab my pitchfork for too. But again, 40,000 people, and I keep hearing, hey, I think the number that was thrown out yesterday, 77 houses and 77 people will be affected. 40,000. We keep saying it. The sympathy is there for everybody, from everybody, but we don't make. I don't think there's a lot of people that want. I think when people say they don't want the County Powers Act, is more because they're like, I don't want a decision made for 40,000, just dictated by 77. But we can get more into that after the break. I want to make sure that we get a little bit more topics on here. But, hey, we want to talk about our thinking Douglas and Lanier, again, an independent insurance agency specializing in home and auto, life and health, business insurance, farm insurance, investment, and more. Visit Douglas and Lanier at 811 Faulkner Springs Road or call 931-474-0044. We'll be right back on the Simmons Says program.
You get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park, but meantime, sound of the river, you stop and you hold everything.
Talk Radio, WBMC News is next.
At Redmond's Carpet, they offer a wide range of flooring options to suit your needs. Whether you prefer the softness of carpet, the durability of hardwood, the versatility of tile, or the affordability of vinyl, we've got you covered. We also offer luxury in vinyl plank, LVP, for those who want the look of hardwood with added durability. Serving McMinnville since 1969, Redmond's Carpet, 2512 Old Nashville Highway. Call them at 931-668-4900 for your next flooring option. Redmond's Carpet.
In the Main Street Journal news, Terrence Lamont Malone, an accomplice in the 2019 home invasion that led to Darius Michael Reese Bishop's death, testified Wednesday against James Earl Wells Jr. during his murder trial. Malone admitted to taking part in the robbery and said that Wells shot Bishop during the break-in. Despite a lengthy criminal record, Malone received a plea deal in exchange for his testimony. Wells' defense offered an alibi with his wife stating he was home. Closing arguments and jury deliberations are underway today. In sports, the Lady Pioneer flag football team earned a 25-0 shutout over Smith County, their 7th win and 2nd straight shutout in the season. The Lady Pioneers face White County next in a key doubleheader tonight at 6 at D. Harris Field in Sparta. For more on these stories, subscribe to www.mainstreetjournal.llc. With the news, I'm Justin Reed.
Need a pick-me-up? Start your day at the Cafe at Tree City. Open daily from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. They serve rich, bold espresso, pulled to perfection. Pair it with one of their delicious treats for the perfect combo.
Their skilled baristas are passionate about crafting your perfect cup, whether it's a classic latte or a refreshing cold brew. They've got your coffee cravings covered.
Short on time? Order ahead for quick pickup or curbside delivery. Your fresh coffee is just a sip away.
The Cafe at Tree City, your go-to spot for expertly crafted espresso drinks. Wake up, sip up, enjoy.
Today is going to be mostly sunny skies with a high near 73. Calm wind becoming south around 5 miles per hour this afternoon. Tonight, mostly clear skies with a low around 56. South-southeast wind around 5 miles per hour. Fun fact, in Antarctica, there are places called dry valleys that haven't seen the rain in nearly 2 million years. They're so dry and cold, scientists say it's the closest place on Earth to Mars. No snow, no ice, just wind and dust. Until next time, keep shining. This is Tisha with your weather.
Hello, this is Jeff Simmons with the Simmons Says program here on WBMC 97.7 FM. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you're out there on the radio, if you're out there on the app, or if you're on Facebook Live and letting us know that you're listening to the program, we have District 8 Commissioner Scott Rubley and District 5 Commissioner Brad Hillis. And let me introduce these guys a little bit more because Mr. Rubley is the chairman of Budget and Finance. He also serves on the legislative portion of, what would that be? A
legislative committee, yes.
And committee. And also financial management. Or did I get that right?
Yeah, financial management, correct.
And of course, some airplane stuff, too. Airport stuff as well.
We love that.
Mr. Hillis, you are also on financial management?
Yes.
And you are on highway and bridge?
Yes.
And economics and agriculture?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, we're hitting a lot of those aspects and all that. And I even want to think about this legislative part for Mr. Rubley. A lot of talk about, hey, if we put this in play, it opens us up. Or if we don't put this in play, someone else can do it and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, and we've heard that argument, and that's a fact. Carl made reference to it this morning. I was listening coming into town. We're not going to live forever. We're going to age out of this thing, and somebody's going to take our place. Mm-hmm. But this is our watch. There are 24 commissioners that are going to make this decision, and we cannot let the future affect our decision for what we think's right for the county. We've got to do, and if we make a good educated decision, and if they vote for or against, then it'll be what it will be. But we cannot say, well, if we don't do it, somebody's going to. That's irrelevant in this argument for me. So
yeah. I want to say that it's been a lot of this or that, it's just trying to nail this down into what is going to happen on Monday. Before we do that, I need to make sure we thank our sponsor in this segment, and that is Reddick Brown Ford on 5917 Manchester Highway, Morrison, Tennessee. They're going to have a Good Friday Easter celebration from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. tomorrow, so go out there. Meet the Easter Bunny. Maybe that'll help everybody. Let's have a good Easter Sunday.
I would be remiss if I didn't recognize our Lord and Savior. Yeah. Jesus is Lord, and let's remember what this weekend's all about, and no matter what the outcome of this vote, he's still on the throne.
There you go. Again, you can go out there on 5917 Manchester Highway, get you a hot dog, get you some treats, and see the best selection and best prices of Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs out there at Reddick Brown Ford locally. We've touched on so many things right now, but I think, again, it kind of goes back to one of the we keep trying to talk about fact. We talk about fiction. We got people in the comments kind of going back and forth on that, and I'm going to let them have their arguments and things like that. What's been maybe one of the most far-fetched or surprising things you've heard during this whole process? Because I think I told y'all one of mine, but I'll let Mr. Hillis. What's one of the most bizarre out of the, like, hey, if we don't do this or if this does happen, what have you seen?
Or
heard?
As far as the effects it has on people.
Yes,
I mean, we were in that meeting Thursday night, there was a lady spoke about the diseases or the issues, health issues, and animals dying. I've known people that's worked at the Stone Mine Quarry since I was a kid, and they're as healthy as I am. People get sick all the time. And there again, we get back to this, from what we know, this is not going to be a quarry as you picture in your mind with blasting. It's going to be a lot more subtle environment.
Yep. I mean, Mr. Rubley, I'll tell everybody the one that I told y'all, and I think y'all got a pretty big kick out of it when we were talking about it on the break. Was I had even one person say that they think that maybe even just getting people to try to institute the County Powers Act now is really just rebel rousing, because it'll help if they ban all other rock quarries, the existing rock quarry will have a monopoly on the area. And I'm like, I was like, this is where we've kind of went with all this. It started, again, we're going, in a lot of aspects, y'all are being called in to make a decision on Monday based on a hypothetical rock quarry going into Dibbrell that, to this day, I don't think Carl Bolden, who was in here today, our two commissioners that are sitting here, the commissioners I talked to yesterday, or our county executive who will be here in the next hour, I don't think anybody can confirm it yet. And we're going to have a vote on Monday in aspects to try to stop rock quarries.
And we're still calling it a quarry.
Again, are we? The language of this County Powers Act is, at first it was set. It's set in place. There's certain portions of it that are that, but you can amend to it. I don't think you can take away from anything of it. You can add to.
The county commission cannot not supersede any state regulation. We can accept or reject part of it, but we can't change any of it. So we can either take the parts that we feel comfortable with and apply that to the county, or we can leave it on the table indefinitely. But no, we can't change anything.
How many times has it been reworded so far, and do you think it could be even reworded again before Monday?
I know, as my understanding, twice, and I'm supposed to get a copy of that today, but I've not seen the revised version, and I think it's – but here's the thing. We can reword this all we want, but it doesn't change the County Powers Act. Like I say, we can't supersede anything that the state does. So the Powers Act is still available to us and any future commission. Carl Bolden, commissioner, was right. We can vote this in. In 2 weeks, we can put it on the docket for June, and we can overturn it. Yeah. And then in 2 months, we can do it again. So, but – I just think, and I told another commissioner this, I said, people, for some odd reason, they've put confidence in us enough to represent them that they kind of put enough confidence in us to make those decisions. So we've got to make decisions that we feel like would be beneficial to them, whether anything happens in the future, and circumstances could change. Like I say, if this legal action with Grundy County, if the state Supreme Court rules in favor against the county, then it is kind of a moot point. And we've had a lot of discussion, and I'm glad we're having the discussion, and I'm glad people are getting involved, because I've had people that called me and said, "Hey, I voted for you. Now, what is it exactly you guys do?" And I just wish people were more informed. It makes it easier on us when everybody has all the information.
You made a comment in our comment section on the Sports Authority last night that I thought was very interesting. Is the sense that, and this is when we talk about far-fetched or crazy things that's happening. Have you heard more about this, or when the commission started to increase taxes?
No question, this, but and I will tell you this: it's kind of black and white with taxes.
Yeah.
It wasn't the last time, and I think I proved my point. I'm going to get a plug in there. I'm right every once in a while. But I said we did not need a tax increase. We looked at the numbers. We looked at the revenues. We looked at the expenditures, the capital outlay, all of that. We we put it on the table, and I said, hey, it's going to be tight, but we can make it.
Yes.
And that was around the COVID time. But you've got 2 or 3 factors there in making the decision, and it's kind of black and white at the end. We don't have enough money and we need more, or we've got enough money and we don't need any more. And with this, it's a lot of personality and emotion goes into a decision like this, and the unknown. I know it's so much easier to make a decision. The county commission, usually when all the information is on the table and everybody knows exactly what's going on, it's usually a unanimous vote.
Yes.
But in these things where it's confusing to me why some of these companies have not said, hey, send a representative up there. But I know, you're throwing a sheep to the wolves when you go. Some people, if we told them, hey, we know exactly what's happening, this is what's going to happen, they would still be against it.
Yep.
And I understand and I sympathize with those people in those communities, but it's just it's hard when you don't have all the information.
This is spurred a lot of other talks and a lot of aspects, and I keep hearing something. I think even Mr. Bolden said this, and I think I've even heard Mr. Bell. And again, we're going to have Mr. Bell on here from 10 to 11 o'clock with Raven and myself and editor-in-chief of the Main Street Journal, Rob Nunley, will be here on a roundtable. We're always against zoning laws in the county. If this passes, County Powers passes, and you put a 5,000-foot restriction, did you just zone rock quarries out of Warren County in some ways, Mr. Hillis?
Yes.
Yeah. So you say, and I would go to stand to reason if we put a vote on there for Monday for county zoning, it's gone. Right. It's not happening.
Right. And this is zoning personified.
But this exactly. I was like, and in some ways, is this not exactly? I mean, we're nobody wants county zoning laws. But if you say you can't do that with that piece of land, you just zone that land for that.
It's zoning.
Yes.
Rob made a comment yesterday, acronym NIMBY.
Yep.
Not in my backyard. Mm-hmm. It's okay if it happens in there. And listen, I feel like I'm kind of the bad guy here because I'm on the other end of the county.
Yes.
But I've got a bona fide, certified, 100% no doubt quarry in our district, and like you say, since I've been a commissioner, I've never had one single complaint about that quarry, and I know it's there and it's always been there, and once it's there, it's like the discussion's over, and I realize that, but I've never had a complaint about that quarry.
Wow.
So
yeah. All right, guys, we're going to take one last break, and then we're going to come back for a little more talk and about County Powers Act and what y'all guys do from a standpoint on the County Commission. We want to thank Reddit Brown Ford again. You can go to their Good Friday Easter celebration from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. out there on 5917 Manchester Highway, Morrison, Tennessee. We will be right back on the Simmons Says program.
Why don't you head over to Chicken Chef and enjoy a fresh made-to-order meal, or choose from the all-time favorite like the Chicken Nugget Dinner. Stop in for breakfast, order right off the menu with sausage, gravy, fresh homemade biscuits, or try their delicious tenderloin, egg, and cheese biscuit, just to name a few. Whatever your taste buds call for, you're sure to find it at Chicken Chef. They've been serving Warren and surrounding counties for over 40 years. Stop in today, Chicken Chef on the Strip in McMinnville. You can call your order in to go at 473-5020.
Make the places you care about more comfortable and energy efficient with TVA Energy Right. It all starts at EnergyRight.com, where you can find everything you need to lower your energy usage for your home or your business. Contact Caney Fork Electric Energy Advisors Dale or Chris at 931-473-3116 or go to EnergyRight.com to start living and working more energy efficiently. Caney Fork Electric along with EnergyRight.com for all your energy needs. Brought to you by Caney Fork Electric Cooperative and TVA.
Your family deserves better than ordinary. At the Butcher on Main, you'll find the freshest dairy delivered daily from Sunrise Dairy and real McMinnville-made jams and jellies that taste just like home. Our house-made sausage and premium meats are crafted for meals that wow. And our gourmet cheeses will have your guests asking for seconds. Need a space to celebrate? Our 1,000-square-foot lounge is ready for your next event. Why settle for less? Find everything you need at 209 West Main Street, only at the Butcher on Main.
Hi, this is Chris from Reddick Brown Ford in Morrison. In the market for a new truck? We have a huge inventory of new Ford F-150s and Super Duty trucks. Whether you need power for off-road adventures or reliability for work, we've got you covered. We offer great value and customer satisfaction that can't be beat. Our store is also the recipient of the 2023 Ford President's Award. It's no wonder folks say it's worth the drive to Highway 55. Reddick Brown Ford in Morrison, or online at reddickbrownford.com.
Oh, why won't this work?
Don't lose your cool. Call Black's Heating and Air for a preseason check-in service on your central air conditioning system. It can increase the life and dependability of your unit while reducing the chances of a very sticky situation.
Unbelievable!
Get that air conditioner checked now.
This is Benny Black.
And this is Seth Black with Black's Heating and Air.
Call today, 931-668-0785.
Benny's slogan at Black's Heating and Air is, once you've had Black, you won't go back.
Mention this ad and you can get a discount.
Peanut butter and jelly, Batman and Robin, macaroni and cheese. These things go so well together, but Ben Lomond Connect would like to add one more thing. Ben Lomond Fiber and Ben Lomond Home. Our national leading speed price offering on a synchronous gig with a top-of-the-line Wi-Fi 6 router, an app to manage your family's experience, and in-depth customer support for just $2 a day. Bring out the best in your home's Wi-Fi experience with Ben Lomond Fiber and Ben Lomond Home. For more information, contact your local BLC office or go to benlomondconnect.com.
Talk Radio, WBMC, and translator W249DQ McMinnville, WBMC.
So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, folks, we are back on the Simmons Says radio show here on WBMC 97.7 FM. I'm joined by County Commissioner Scott Rubley and Brad Hillis. Before we get back into our last little talk with the guys here, I want to make sure we thank our sponsor, the Cafe at Tree City. Y'all coffee drinkers?
Oh, yeah.
Brad's not, well, Scott is.
Oh.
So, hey, 50-50 chance here. We're going to have a coffee drinkers. The cafe is open from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. They got freshing brews, cold espressos. They can do everything over there at the Cafe at Tree City. And we are going to be doing a live remote Simmons Says show from the Cafe at Tree City on April the 28th, which will be a week after a pretty important vote that's happening on April 21st, which is what we've been talking about the County Powers Act. Mr. Hillis, all 24 people are going to walk into that room, and when you go to vote there, I think a lot of people are saying you got to be thinking about Dibble right now. You are District 5's commissioner. Is that when you walk in that room? That's your representation. Am I wrong?
Well,
I mean, I think everybody's thinking about both, but at some point you have to say, I'm doing what District 5 wants me to do. Is that
absolutely? District 5 put me in that seat to be their voice.
Yes, sir.
I'm there for them,
mm-hmm.
And if they express to me that we're voting on not just this issue, but any issue that they don't want, that's my. If I don't listen to them and vote with what they're asking me to, what good am I?
Mm.
What voice do they have?
Yes, sir. Yep. I think that keeps going back because I think everybody keeps saying that, hey, if you're not for the County Powers Act, then you're just letting this happen to Dibble. Right. And I'm saying I don't think there's anybody that is sitting here and saying that we want Fred Flintstone sliding down the dinosaur's back and and rock blasting in anybody's backyard, anything like that. We still, to this day, have not verified that that's going to be the case. And B, there's so much unknown. I mean, I think even Carl Bolden was talking about that with Raven today, and Raven said that. The amount of unknown that we have that has been floating around in this community for the last 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden we're being asked to make a pretty important decision. And as I said it, I think if you enact the County Powers Act on Monday as a commission, you set a precedent. Whether you say that you are, this is just a one-time thing, this is the only, I think that was even said at some point this week, this is the only scenario in which I would be for the County Powers Act right now.
Yeah.
Because that's the only reason it is for right now. One question we got that I got from a caller that called in the middle of the break was, Carl D. Bolden brought this up, and something was said about uranium and digging for uranium or something like that in the area, or any kind of mineral. If you put the County Powers Act here and mining, blasting rock crushers, rock quarries, and that wording is in there, and somebody finds out in 6 months that they're sitting on $15 million worth of mineral, but we've enacted this. Can they do it anymore? Could they be able to do it? Could they get the permits, or would the county say, "Hey, sorry, that was in the blasting and stuff. You couldn't. You're sitting on $20 million worth of stuff, but sorry, can't go get it."
And the county commissioners would be sitting there, especially the people in the budget seats would be scratching their heads, thinking, "Oh my gosh, this would have taken a burden off the taxpayers for, indefinitely."
Mm-hmm.
But with the tax revenue that would come on. Some of these other counties have even gone as far as cell phone towers.
Yeah.
Virtual mining, crypto mining. And that was, I asked that question Thursday night. I addressed one of the commissioners in DeKalb County. What is the devastating effect of crypto mining? Well, it uses AI. And I'm like, wow, do you have a smartphone? Because you Google something or you get on Facebook and the first thing that happens is AI says, can I help you? And that's an unknown. But to say that we're going to regulate crypto mining, they said, well, it's really noisy and it uses a lot of electricity. Well, that kind of debunks the electric car. If we're going green, then
wow.
They said the fans are really loud. My son actually had a little mining. They call them rigs, little operation, little server, and it does online transactions with cryptocurrency. And I don't think any of the neighbors complained, and they're nearby, but you wouldn't even known it was in the house, you know. And I know there's larger scales of that, but like I say, we're opening Pandora's box here when we start saying, and I know we're going to tell ourselves, hey, we've got the power. If we pass this, we've got the power. From now on, I mean, they can try that if they want to. We'll just get 16 people to vote and say that you can't do that here. And I'm not. That's a doomsday worst case scenario, but we are kind of telling our representative, the people we represent, that hey, if you've got a big problem, we know how to fix it now. It's not zoning, but it is.
Yep. And in some aspects, the interesting thing about this is about talking about, and I know this is the other side of the spectrum when people say, hey, it's 16 people can make this vote, and then all of a sudden we have the County Powers Act. Well, in some aspects, people could also say, well, 9 people could say no, and they're even 9 people are making as big of an impact on here as 16 people. Again, I think that brings me back to referendum voting, where this is pushed to everybody in the community. Because again, we keep focusing on 16 saying yes. There's a lot of people that are going to say, well, 9 people said no, and they made as big of an impact on the decision making on this rock quarry situation as 16 who would have been saying you can't do it. Well, 9 people saying you can, theoretically, would be just saying that we're not going to limit you from doing it. That's an even smaller number of people making a decision.
Right.
That's right.
I like the idea of myself and a lot of people in Warren County being able to do that. If this was going to a referendum vote, this is a hypothetical I asked y'all on the break. This takes 2/3 to pass the county commission. If this was a referendum vote and it went 51-49, which we've seen the numbers in our polling on here, would you still? Because I mean, okay, you're Scott Rubley, you're District 8, and they're going to have the breakdown by every district how it went. It passes 51-49, yes, but in Scott Rubley's district, it was 55-45, no. Could you then, I mean, would that referendum vote put the County Powers Act in place no matter what, or would it still have to be ratified by the county commission?
I think either way it would have to be ratified, but I think that we would have to really, and they always say the devil's in the details, but with a referendum like that, I think we would have to, which the county commission I think would be responsible, which Robert would advise us on how it would be written. But I can make a resolution. Yeah. You know, I saw it with the lots of people say, "Yo, you continued the wheel tax, but you didn't give us a chance to decide." Well, it was a referendum, but I can word a referendum, and I can lead people with the wording in the referendum, but we would have to put wording in there. I think that we would have to, okay, if it passes 66, 67%, then we're on board. But if it's 50%, then we're going to have to sit down and have some more, or we're at least going to have it in the wording that if it's 51%, it's a done deal. But I don't know once we send that to the state, if the state's going to say nope, can't do that, it's got to be 2/3. It's got to be 2/3.
Yeah.
I'm not sure on that one. That's a good question. Yeah. That's a great question.
2/3 is a gigantic number to try to get people to agree on anything. I don't know if there's. I mean, I think a lot of people are losing sight to the fact that this has become such a dividing topic in Warren County that people are like, well, we aren't even looking out at our neighbors. Warren County is still a pretty tight-knit community in my opinion.
It is.
In my opinion. But I still say, even in a tight-knit community, getting 2/3 of people to agree on anything is pretty tough. We're going to have Terry Bell in here in the next probably about 5 minutes. And, I mean, he won pretty resounding election and county executive. He got 60% of the vote. Right. So I'm not 67% of anything is a really big number. In fact, Chad Graves in the comments just said, let's see if I can find that post again. Connor, can you put that up on the screen?
I got it.
Yeah. I just heard from County Executive Bell that some shocking news is coming in the next hour. That's what we call in the radio biz a tease.
Yeah. I'm betting it's going to be a pay raise for the commissioner.
Hey, look at that! Look at that! All right, folks. Commissioner Hills, Commissioner Rubley, thank y'all so much for coming in here. I know that we will have police escorts and everything waiting for y'all in the parking lot. Make sure y'all can get out of here safe. No, guys, thank y'all so much, and thank you to the Cafe at Tree City. Again, we'll be doing that live remote on April 28th. There, stick around on Facebook. We will have Raven Young, Rob Nunley, and County Executive Terry Bell join us for the next hour. Thank y'all so much.
Louisiana, close to New Orleans, way back up in the woods among the